Hello, I'm Cameron Davis of VMG Technology, Master Marine Systems Limited. We're based at MDL Shamrock Quay, and as you can see we've got quite a breezy day to be talking to you about routine maintenance and inspection of rigging on your boat, using this boat as an example, and the sorts of things that we would be looking to do for all of our customers, advising on what to check and so forth prior to what we really hope will be a great season. So we're going to start at the bow here, the headsail furler. We can just check the rigging tension. It needs to be secure, not too tight, and needs to be able to rotate and furl cleanly like that and clearly. This is a fairly new furler, very simple. We have a drum and a furling line. I've got a little bit of slack in the furling line just to test it, and very easily, without too much effort, I can furl or I can turn the headsail here, and it turns quite freely, which is great. Sorts of things we want to be doing: checking the shackles are tight, checking the pins are all good underneath here, and the split pins are open in the clevis pins. Checking there's no play in the fittings between here and here inside this bolt. And if there is stiffness in here, then there could be a number of causes for that. It could be age, it could be fatigue, it could be corrosion. So flush things through with fresh water, which you should be doing after every time that you go out sailing. And then perhaps that'll clear it. Perhaps it's something more complicated. If it is, we're very happy to help and advise, and we'll take you so far into resolving the situation. There comes a point, of course, where some things may be just a bit too far gone, and then you may need to look at a new furler. Should you need to look at a new furler, the market offers great options these days, and pretty much all of them come with a 10-year warranty. So it's money well spent, and they last, and they're warranted. We're looking now at the guardrails, just because we're at the front of the boat. These are on little turnbuckles, as you can see. Typically 4mm 1x19 wire, which is standard. These nuts are done up well on the turnbuckles, so that is not turning. Same with this one here, so that's all great. Guard wires take a lot of strain, and we often forget that the fenders that we tie to them are there holding the boat away from the dock when wind's blowing them on like today. So they actually take a lot of strain and a lot of push and pull in different directions. It's something that we tend to forget about as boat owners, but it's important to keep an eye on guardrails because you want them to be secure for your safety. Okay. So all the ropes on the boat undergo a lot of load. There are workhorses for controlling the sail, in this case the headsail, so we're looking at a jib sheet here. But the same sort of loads are applied on the halyards, on the main sheet, on the van controls or kicker controls, on the outhaul. So it's important that we check all of the lines regularly. Any kind of nick, particularly on the halyards, any kind of nick on the rope may indicate that there's something where it's being trapped, and that should be changed. That rope should be changed straight away, and the cause of the nick you should try and determine what the cause of the nick is. This rope's fine, this jib sheet's fine. We're just running our hands down the length of it. I can't feel any problem with that at all, and I can see as it goes back down the boat that this line is in good shape. So we're now looking at the mast base. There's quite a bit going on here which you need to check regularly. We've got the mast base blocks, which we're taking all the load of the halyards as they pass through and go through the deck organisers back to the clutches. You'll see this one is on a pin, secured with a split ring on this. That's good. This one is on a shackle, and there's a little cable tie on here to ensure that the shackle doesn't come undone. That's a very good securing arrangement. So that's on every shackle as we go around here. So just check that these blocks are running, that the sheave turns freely and there's no wear on the sheave. Same with all of these. And that seems to be the case on this boat, that the sheaves are all in good order. We're also going to look here at the mast electrics. So as a rigging company, we get onto the boundary of doing some marine electrics, and typically it's the in-mast electrics. So we'll have coming through here a VHF cable, we'll have coming through here a wind instrument cable. These are probably these two black ones. We might have a radar cable. And additionally, we've got power cables, one to the top of the mast for the all-round tricolor lights and anchor lights, one to the middle of the mast for the steaming lights and deck floodlights. So we're going to have 5, maybe 6 cables, maybe more, coming down the mast, passing out, and in this case, because it's a deck step mast, passing through the deck on these deck glands. So we need to inspect these periodically, regularly, make sure that there's no rubbing or pinching on any of these cables. And just make sure that, you know, from visual inspection, everything looks good. If the cable glands themselves look a bit cracked or creased or old, change them. It's good maintenance. Okay, so we're just going to look at the attachments now to the mast. These brackets here, the vang gooseneck, and in a moment we'll have a look at the boom gooseneck. So we need to check that out, make sure there's not too much play side to side in this jaw that passes onto this fitting. Again, making sure that the ropes are good on the vang control lines, and making sure that all the rivets that hold this vang bracket in place, that then they're all in good shape and not corroded. Any movement of any kind here is going to be exaggerated and cause you problems. So a very important part of maintaining your boat is to check out the boom and vang gooseneck fittings. Here's the vang gooseneck. In a moment we'll look at the boom gooseneck. Now we'll take a look at the boom gooseneck fitting, which is a more substantial fitting than the vang. Here we've also got this attachment here for the bottom of the boom, where the eyes for the reefing on the luff hook onto. So just make sure that that bullhorn, as it's called, is all in good shape. Make sure that the pin here is in good shape. Make sure that the cassette or whatever fitting that you have going into the boom is in good shape. And make sure that these lines for your reefing and your outhaul are passing through without any kind of problem and the sheaves are turning. Okay, so deck organisers, same as the other sheaves, just make sure that the wheels are turning. These are a little bit under load, so that's why that's not turning, but it's turning okay. This one's free to turn and that one's turning okay. So just check those sheaves within the deck organisers are turning okay. So here we've got cap shroud fittings at deck level and lowers fittings at deck level. We're just going to talk a little bit about these two fittings. We can see at the top here there's a little bit of tarnishing. We happen to know that this rigging's fairly new, so it's not a problem, but that just needs a bit of polishing. Some kind of stainless steel or metal polishing agent applied regularly will keep the stainless steel looking nice and fresh, and of course the clue's in the name, stainless. You want it to have no stains on. So just keep your stainless steel fittings ragged with a bit of rag and Solvol Autosol or something like that that you can get from Halfords. It's not expensive and it will bring a nice clean finish to all of your rigging fittings that are stainless steel. You'll notice on this one, just by the design of the boat, that the lower guard wire presses against this rigging screw, and that this little bit of hose has been applied. I mean, it may not look that elegant, but it's a great idea just to stop the two wires from rubbing against each other, or rather the guard wire from rubbing against the thread on this bottle screw. Up here, it's also rubbing against that probably could do with a little bit of isolation to separate those two metals. On here, you'll notice also this owner has taped up the area where the split pins are exposed within the bottle screws. That's a good idea. These can be sharp edges and not very pleasant if you run your finger against them, or worse still, a sail against them. So just be checking around here with a little blade or a fingernail. Just make sure there's no movement in any of these strands of wire that are going down here. There are 19 strands in this wire. That's probably what you've got on your boat. It's the most common type of wire. Comes in different sizes. It's got 12 strands on the outside and 5 on the inside. Beg your pardon. Yeah, beg your pardon, 7 on the inside. You can't see the ones on the inside, so it's important that you check the ones on the outside, because that's going to give you an indication of the condition of the rigging. Generally speaking, standing rigging should be changed on the basis of about every 10 to 15 years. For commercial boats such as this, it has to be changed at least every 10 years. But you should have a look back through your paperwork and see when your standing rigging was last changed. It's not really an expensive job over a 10-year period, but it's something that you need to rely on, so you need to make sure it's in the highest order. So we're now in the area of the cockpit where we're bringing the lines back that control our sails, the reefing lines, the main halyard, the main sheet, the out-haul, the van control lines. We haven't got all of them on this side of the boat, some of them behind me on the other side of the boat, but the clutches here control and hold these lines when we're using them. So make sure that the clutches are again nicely cleaned, fresh water and lube from time to time, and again check the ropes where they're passing through, because it's very likely that the clutch will be pointing or pinching or clutching on the same point of rope each time. So just check where that is, whether there's a flat spot, whether it's worn, where it's been against the teeth of the clutch. The rope might need changing. For winches, just check this is nicely turning, just a single speed winch. So just make sure it can run freely. Winch servicing is straightforwards, but if it's not something that you've done before, then it's worth getting some advice and somebody to help you to do it for the first time. Very simple, takes about an hour to 2 hours to completely service a winch, and it's something you should be doing annually. Okay, slightly unusual, the design of this boat, in as much as we've got the main sheet controlled, or the main sheet position controlled from the top of this arch, and rather than having a traveller traversing the boat, it's got two fixed pad eyes here and main sheet blocks attached to those. But this is another area we need to check. Check on the main sheet blocks, exactly the same as you saw when we were checking on the blocks at the base of the mast. All of them on the boom, on this arch, and then going forwards here. Check those over, make sure everything's in good order. If there's any shackles, make sure the shackles are in good order and done up properly and cable tied, so that the pin can't come undone. And that's really it. It should be washed down in fresh water as often as possible. And again, just look at the main sheet. Just make sure the main sheet is in good condition, as you saw us check with the jib sheet earlier on. So in fairly swift time, we've gone from the bow of the boat, checking on the rigging fittings, those that we can access. Of course, there are lots of fittings up the mast which you cannot access unless you climb up with a bosun's chair. But we're looking just at the moment for deck-related maintenance. So this backstay here, the rigging fittings at the back, nicely polished, nicely clean. The same process applies to all of the rigging fittings on the backstay, on the cap shrouds, on the head sail, on the lowers, whether they're fore and aft, whatever rig you've got, the same principle should be applied. Just look over, check your bottle screws, check your pins, just examine it on a nice day like this, so you can see clearly what the condition of the wire is and what the condition of the rigging fittings are. I hope that in a way I've been able to provide a little bit of input to you, and importantly a little bit of confidence to go and check your own rig out. If you've got any questions, please get in touch, and have a great year of sailing and all the best.